Yes. Talk about where you're born and the idea of starting a company. To stop there, and then Hisham will tell your story about where you're born and also a little bit about PatronArt. And
So you didn't write, right? I was very, I was.
sounds good. And then same thing with Hisham. Try to see your hair. All right. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing good? Everyone doing good? Awesome. Well, this is. I appreciate all of you coming out. Thank you for your time. This is a monthly event that we like to put together. Again, the Wave. It's absolutely free. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And then if you want to come around the weekends, just ask. It's absolutely free, and we do these events. So this will be the last panel for the evening. I would like to introduce Loke with PatronArt.com and Hisham, founder of Flick Image. And so first off, I think we should get started similar to the last panel, but tell me a little bit about your upbringing and kind of, what led you to starting PatronArt.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank Manny for inviting me out to speak here tonight, and thank you all of you for coming out. It's very, very cold out there, so all of you want to be here. That's great. That's great. And I believe most of the people here are either founders or involved in the local startup community, or they have some of their own hustle going on. So
yeah, can we get a show of hands? Like, who is an entrepreneur or working for?
Everybody.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody.
Awesome.
And the reason I ask is, I want to make sure that what we talk about today is relevant to everybody here. So the question was about my upbringing.
Your upbringing, where are you from, and what led you to starting the company that you're passionate about?
So it's a strange story, but I was born in Singapore. I spent my whole life there. I've only been in the US for 6 years. Ohio is the first place that I landed. I've never been here before. I don't have family here. Wow. I came here for school. I never intended to stay in Ohio. When I got into school here, you all know how it is. You know how it is. I came here with the intention to jump ship to NYU after one semester here, and somehow I ended up with a bunch of friends, and I joined a band, and it just seemed like a very great and comfortable place to be in. I met a bunch of cool people. Hisham knows about the band. I met Hisham under very strange circumstances like 4 years ago as well. We'll get to that.
What instrument do you play?
I play bass. I play bass, yeah. And Hisham actually runs he was involved or is still involved with Kitamu Cafe, and they have they have an open mic night, but
anyway, start again.
Yeah, Hisham is like in 1,000 things.
Yeah, we could be up here for a while. Okay.
Yeah. So I came here for school, and then I started my company the day I graduated from college. Like, I went home, I was still in my robes, and then I registered my company. I had been laying the groundwork for it in the couple of months leading up to my graduation. The reason, and we'll stop there, I guess, the reason I started my company is because my grandfather, who I was very close to, passed away. He was a very important person in forming my philosophy of life and how I treat people and how I interact and how I view the world. So I had this random idea where I wanted to commission a custom painting of him, because I didn't have like a good photo of him, and I wanted something on the walls to remind me of, this man and what he had done. I started interacting with different artists, talking to them about the project, and then I realized that there was no good standard process to go about this thing. I had a problem. I saw this problem. All the artists shared very similar stories to me. There was a bunch of, if you ever go into like commissions, trying to commission something of an artist out in the wild, you'll run into the same couple of issues over and over again. As someone that grew up helping my dad, who's an entrepreneur himself, I had like a business and standardization mindset, so I saw a way to help, and that's when I started my company.
Love it. I love how you said commission out in the wild. That's funny. So Hisham, tell us a little bit about you. Backstory. We met each other about 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
We went to Hilliard.
I've met a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
I met him, I've met everybody. I'm always running into people, and I think that's a blessing.
So Hisham, it's fair to say Hisham has been an entrepreneur since like 18, like literally.
I started my first business when I was in 6th grade.
Okay.
It was a mechanic shop on Cleveland Avenue, and I was like, yo, can I wash people's cars? They're like, yeah, go ahead. Before you know it, I like start creating my own graphics, like detail and all that stuff. So, yeah.
So it's in your spirit.
It's in my spirit.
So were you born in the States or?
No, I was born in East Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, East Africa. My dad was born in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam. It's a beautiful place, you should all visit. And my mother was born in Somalia. And that's where I all started. You know, a mixture of two cultures. And I don't know if you guys know a little history of the war in Somalia. It started about 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's what caused our family to leave the country and to look for a better place. So left Africa I left Somalia when I was like 2 years old. This is loud. Am I loud? Okay. So yeah, so pretty much, started there, moved to Kenya, learned Swahili, grew up in my childhood in Kenya, getting into trouble, getting lost, meeting crazy animals, getting chased by bees. I could go for days, and it was this moment when, I don't know how, but that was the one thing my dad always wanted us was knowledge, because he passed away in Somalia during the war. It was actually shot by rebels. So it was a crazy, I can go for days talking about the story, but yeah, so from there, we fled to Kenya and got an opportunity to come to America, Texas.
Well,
yeah,
you definitely made the most of it.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
I was first grade when I first came to Texas. And then from Texas, we're like, yo, this is too hot. The trees were burning, the floor was hot. So we're like, all right, we need to relocate. We don't speak any English at all. So it's funny being a first grader who doesn't speak English in a room full of English people, because one thing that I remember from the first grade, in the Somali and the African culture, certain English words are actually cuss words. So like duck, duck, goose or something, So I'm this first, I don't know in English, but I just see these kids playing duck, duck, goose, and I'm just laughing. And everyone's like, what's wrong with this guy? But yeah, I don't want to say the words, but duck, duck, goose. Goose is a bad word in the African language. But yeah, so decided from Texas, it was, relocated and relocated to Minneapolis.
So, we're going to fast forward a little bit with Flick Image.
Okay, so yeah, from Minneapolis to Ohio, grew up, childhood and high school, Hilliard, Darby, and that's where the whole Flick Image. I was in my high school year. I opened a company. I think I was for 6 months, and it failed. So it was a photography company. I was just learning, and it was the end of my senior year when I wanted to open the company called Flick Image. And this was one of our first designs. I got someone to design it. But started the company out of high school, decided to go to college, and 2 years into college, I was running the company on the side, and I'm like, you know what, this college thing is just not for me. It was in chemistry class, I remember. I had no clue what she was talking about. So that's when I had to make the choice. It's like, do I want to finish this, or do I want to chase my dreams, my passion? And it was my senior year when I discovered photography and as a passion. I didn't even know. Before that, I've never snapped a picture.
Wow. So did the two of you guys meet each other before the Walk the Moon played at your coffee shop, or was that after? After that. So tell us, how does Walk the Moon, Shut Up and Dance, tell us that story.
All started at the coffee shop.
This bio's crazy, but
Well, yeah, I can sit for days talking about different stories like 614 Art, Walk the Moon.
Or Meta in the Cornerstones
Meta,
in Brooklyn. Thank you for that. Yeah.
My first client was Oliver Caro, and that was the reason I dropped out of college. So they're the blame, if anybody.
Yeah.
But they wrote me a good check, and that was a good reason for me to say, all right, peace out. And it's amazing, we still have them as a client till today. And then from there, I picked up these guys, Tortilla. When they had their first truck, they were working on it. And the owner and me just connected, and we just became friends. And that was enlightening, because when you become friends with your customers, you are now thinking of their interest. You know?
Love that.
And they are now looking at you and want to see you grow as well. Because friends don't want to pay friends cheap. Friends want to pay friends well. So that's just a
That's
little,
very true.
That's
little
good
thing I
advice, good
learned,
advice.
you know?
So Walk the Moon.
So Walk the Moon, it was at the coffee shop. One of the players came in one day, and I didn't know who he was. I was just like, hey man. And he comes in and loved the place. He loved the vibe. He came in for one of the open mics. And he was like, man, my band should play here. I was like, I was with my brother too. My brother's like, yeah. And he did all the email gathering, and before you know it, we were trying to set a date for them to play. And that wasn't working out. They're like, we can't make it. We gotta go to New York. We're like, what? They're like, yeah, I think there's a record label that wants to sign us. We're like, all right. And then, so the show never happened until they got signed. And they had a sold out show in Columbus. And they were coming back in town, and they're like, hey, we can actually make that show happen now. And that's how the Walk the Moon show happened. And that's, from that show, they came to our coffee shop, and I had my camera, and I decided, let me film this, you know? So they never knew what that filming was one of my passions. And upon seeing that film that I created, it was one camera, 30 angles. They're like, how the hell did you do that? I was running around, I was tossing the camera like if this was it, I was like, hey, catch this! I'll get the shot, run over there. So I had like a million shots, and that's how I got a gig with RCA and Sony. They were like, okay, we like your footage, and the band likes your footage, so can we fly you out to New York? And I went there, and after that, they got me flying different places, and stayed in LA for like 3 months in the process of walking the album, Shut Up and Dance. So I have a full documentary, and got to see the process from morning to night, how to make a record, a Billboard record. And before that,
He was in the studio when they recorded the song. That's kind of insane.
Before that, I got to work with a Jamaican artist. It's the first time I ever, was introduced to weed. Didn't smoke it then, but they were spiritual. They talked about vibrations and how music can enter the vibration of the soul.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So how did the two of y'all meet? Loki, how did the two of you guys meet? 4 years ago, so this is like 2 years of
so
you.
One of my ventures after Flick Image, I got an office in the Short North, and I just needed something to connect with the community. So I'm an artist at the end of the day, so I was like, let me start something that will connect me with more artists. So I started this company called 614 Art. And no intention to turn it into a business, just for fun. And it grew, and now it's got over 20,000 followers between Instagram and Facebook. And yeah.
So it's like a perfect marriage with what?
So
with Loki, yeah.
So that's how we stumbled upon each other, like randomly, and made connections.
Nice, nice. So Loki, tell us a little bit about how, because I went to your website. There has to be over hundreds of artists. So how, did you meet them? How do you go about building those relationships? And essentially, he's built a platform where you could bid if you're an artist and earn revenues. Very, very interesting. So how, before you talk about the technical side, how do you build these relationships with these artists?
So PatronArt is an online marketplace, and we help independent artists gain an avenue to make some money. And basic commissions are the vehicle that we are utilizing. we see commissions as a way to bridge the gap between the public and the art world, because nobody hates art, I think, but most of the time art is like an ivory tower far off in the distance. It's shiny, we all know about it, it's great, but it's not really relevant to our lives. Commissions make it instantly accessible in that, oh, okay, cool, this artist can paint, you know, something that's very deeply meaningful to me, and that as you interact with the artists and you communicate with them, you start to see that a lot goes into this. This guy has been training for years. This guy, like, he has to get the canvas, stretch it himself, he applies it himself, and then he makes the tweaks to it. You see all the steps that go into it, and that gains you an appreciation for the process and for the artwork. So we do custom commissions. People tell us what they want, and we paint it for them. Interpret that how you would. We get a wide range of commissions on the website. We get a lot of kids, a lot of dogs, cats. We also get very creative things. I've spoken to some of you today. I've shown you some very wacky, like custom artwork. We have a piece of someone riding a unicorn, you know, with like lightning in the background. We have a flying dog, you know, like someone riding a giant flying dog, you know, so stuff like that. You asked me how we build the community.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, so here's the great thing about Ohio. It's an up and coming city, but everyone's still very open and accessible. You can pretty much, you know, get in touch with anyone here and just reach out and talk to them. There's a lot of events going on here. So for the first 2 years of this venture, I went to every single art event, gallery opening, art fair that I could find, and just shook hands and spoke to people, and, you know, basically tried to understand where they were coming from and what their difficulties are and where I can help with my website.
Awesome.
So we have about 450 artists on the website at this point, 125 local artists.
Wow. Where did the orders come from, if you don't mind? Is it only Ohio, or?
So when I first started this, I only had myself to base so it's a two-sided platform, so I only had myself to base the patrons on. So there's actually a good number of people just randomly Googling stuff all the time. So right now, someone is Googling where custom artwork now, you know? And so that's what we get our SEO and SEM to. We run AdWords, nice. So whenever someone types custom art or custom painting or paint my dog, they will see us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's the first level. And then the next level, now we're working on like content marketing and, you know, social media to try to inspire people. When someone sees the flying dog, it's like, I want someone to paint me riding a flying cat. You know?
Lovely, lovely. So if you have any ideas, you know where to go. PatronArt.com. Any questions from the audience so far for Loki or Hisham? Yeah, Cassie?
Is it all local art, so only local artists?
We have a top secret project that we're working on right now, and it's a page where you can go and find all the local artists. But these are artists that are all over the US. So this is nationwide, 450 artists within the US, 120 to 150 here in Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll allow them to search for someone near where they are, the patron?
Yes.
Okay, if they want.
Well, only for Ohio.
Okay.
So the way the website is built, geography is not really a factor. So you can, this is the concept, we call this concept a commonality, so things that make people feel like this is the right artist for them, and part of that is a desire to support local artists and local artwork, and to, you know, contribute to the local art ecosystem. So that's one way that you can search for an artist on the website. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So Hisham, tell us about 2019. What plans do you have?
2019, I feel like the more you do live life, the more you realize the importance of life is not just running a business. You're running yourself. You are the business. Yeah. You know, so 2019, we try to eat healthy. You know, stay away from fast food. educate the mind at least an hour to 30 minutes a day, read a book, and just like grow as an individual.
Working on yourself.
Working on yourself, and that's where I'm at for 2019.
I love that.
You know, so
Love
yeah.
that. Any travel
Make that
plans?
money.
I know you travel a lot.
Traveling. Well, I'm going to be going to Kenya in
Nice.
February.
For
That's
work
where
or
I'm gonna-
pleasure or?
This one's going to be pleasure.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I hate traveling and having to like. It's not really pleasure when you go for work anymore. It sucks. When you travel, the airport, the luggage, no bueno. But
I appreciate
definitely
it.
for.
I appreciate it. And Hisham's someone really good to talk to. He knows a lot of people in the community, but you could always, you know, I hate saying this word, but you can pick his brain, and you know, he shares a lot of information.
Well, I always tell people my brain's already been picked. So yeah, but I try my best. You
Yeah.
know?
And Loki, what about you? What asks from the community, from the audience? How can we help you this year?
So our current project, one of our current projects at PatronArt right now is to gain more media attention, get some PR going, build up our social media followings, and to improve the SEO to the website. It's a fairly inelegant ask that I have of all of you, but if you would follow our Instagram
What's your
channel,
handle? What's your handle?
Instagram. Well, PatronArt.
Got it.
PatronArt at Instagram.
And the video is
yeah.
gonna be right here.
If you like our post and comment on it, or even share our post, that actually generates backlinks to the website and actually helps us with our SEO. So
Search engine optimization.
And if you will spread the word, our mission is to help the artists, and our goal is to become synonymous with commissions. We want to become a verb. So it's like, oh, you're looking for a gift and you want to get a painting of a dog for mom, then PatronArt it. So if you would spread the word that this service is out there, if you see any businesses that want to support local artists and that want to have their mission on the walls, please let them know about PatronArt.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you. I want to ask you too, Hisham, the same question. How can the community help you this year?
That's a good question. I'm always helping people, so I never think about how can people help me. But I guess spreading good positive words. Doesn't matter if it's coming from me. Just making the world better, making yourself better, and hopefully being creative. We're all artists. We're all entrepreneurs. So I have this thing where we're all entrepreneurs. Yeah.
I like that.
Shout out
That's
to
good.
Marshall Short.
And I have a bunch of poetry. Maybe one day I'll do a poetry slam. But
Where's Gio at?
well, he's gone. He had to leave.
Okay.
But
okay. Next time.
So yeah, just spread good words. Negative words can only take you negative places. Positive words can only take you positive places. And always be generous. Because the creation, the universe is always generous to us. It gives us everything, and sometimes we don't give it back. Sometimes things happen the wrong path in life. And we get angry. I think that we should accept it and embrace it in a positive way, because that's just life. That's shit happens.
Very true.
I appreciate it. So it's a heavy ask, but I appreciate it. It's actually a beautiful thing. So thank you. Any other questions from the audience? We're gonna wrap things up. So by the way, yes, you go ahead.
So what is it like to your experience of like having a vision, putting in so much work that you're like, oh my God, I haven't slept in 2 days, but then seeing that gratification and the motivation to like push you forward? Does that make sense? Like, what is it like to see success and like have it like genuinely motivate you to be like, okay, what's next?
I think for me, it's finding a purpose in life. Finding why are you doing what you're doing, and what are you doing it for? And that helps push you when things get hard, Because you always think about your purpose and why you gotta do what you gotta do, and you do it, you know. And always make sure whatever that is your passion, because that's how you're gonna find true gratification at the end. Because if you do something that you're not really passionate about, no matter how much hard work you put into it, it's just great. It's just accomplishment at the end of the day. But if you do what you love to do, whatever it could be painting, it could be writing, whatever it is, you find you'll be grateful at the end. That's all.
Definitely. My dad has a very interesting saying, or like a concept. He calls it the helicopter view. So whenever I'm feeling stuck, I always take the big picture, long-term view. And another thing to keep in mind is, I do believe in the 10,000 hour, 10-year rule, where everything takes, everything that's meaningful will take a long time to achieve or master.
Patience.
So the key is really enjoy being patient. Well, part of it is just being in a position where you don't really have to be patient. When you pick something and you commit to it, just keep that in mind. And if this has to be something that you enjoy doing every single day for the next 10 years of your life. And if it's not that thing, then maybe you should maybe find another thing, or maybe like adjust your approach towards it.
Nice, nice. So what do you guys do when you hit like the little goal? Well, not little goals, because you know how some of your goals now are different to what they were back then. So you say, helicopter view. Are you constantly, when you have a goal and you hit that, you check that off, are you constantly, do you celebrate that goal? You go, or do you focus on the helicopter view goal? Does that make sense?
I'm trying to be a bit better about celebrating milestones and achievements.
Yeah.
I used to be very, very bad about it. Like everything was like no big deal, because like there's always like, all right, next.
Yeah, yeah. That's the problem. Yeah.
But it is important for you to, I realize that it is important for you to celebrate goals with your team, because it is, especially working with others, it's not easy when you find people who are on the same wavelength as you, as they're your crew, and they're all working together. The fact that you can all come together and achieve something together is in itself already something that you should celebrate. So whenever you have an opportunity, you do want to celebrate that.
Also, can I add to that?
Oh, please, yeah.
Be careful, don't celebrate too early.
Exactly.
That's the biggest problem I see. People over-celebrate too early before they've even accomplished the thing. It's like they celebrate over an idea, but they haven't even took the first step. But yeah, that's it.
When I graduated from OSU, I stood there in the stadium surrounded by 10,000 people cheering and hugging each other and saying that they made it. I stood there and felt nothing, but because I was already focused on the next goal. But like my mom was there. She traveled all the way from Singapore to celebrate that with me, and that was very meaningful for her. So it's important to be present and celebrate that with the people around you.
Wow, wow. Well, thank you. Let's give these guys a round of applause.